What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the long-awaited edition of Sports and Bullshit. It's been a while. Got my man Dan Weinrich in the house. What's up? What's up, man? It's been a long time. What you been up to?
You know, quarantining, socially distancing, working from home, Zooming, watching old baseball games, old basketball games, old boxing. That was great. The other night, on last Saturday night, they had SNY was playing Game 6.
I missed that. You texted me about it. I forgot to
yeah. Mets, Red Sox, 86 World Series, for those who don't know what Game 6 means. And then on ESPN, they were playing Tyson fights because Tyson fights in his heyday were so short, you could package like 5 of them in an hour, which is what they did.
That's not bad.
So I was like flipping back and forth between those two. That was pretty fun. But definitely watching the vintage sports has been one of the highlights of an otherwise, obviously not great time.
You're in Queens, one of the epicenters of the epicenter. I'm in Brooklyn. What do you think about the way New York has been handling this? Like, are most people out there rocking masks that you see?
Yeah, for the most part. Not everybody, but New York always going to have some knuckleheads. Mm-hmm. I don't see anybody in New York wilding out and like yelling at people wearing masks.
Right.
Like in other parts of the country.
Yeah, I've been saying I feel safer.
New York people yell at you if you're not wearing a mask, and I sometimes want to myself when I see someone not wearing one. But
yeah, I've been saying I feel safer in New York than anywhere right now, because I say about 80% of the people I see have masks on, and you look around the country and all this crazy, people acting like they don't even believe that it really exists.
Yeah.
So I
don't have any idea about this, but my guess is that the per capita of the virus in New York is not that the numbers aren't that much higher than the rest of the country, because the numbers are so high because 12 million people live in New York City alone. Perhaps. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a little higher. You just the fact you have more people, you have more of an opportunity to get it. People are on top of each other. I do think the rural areas, you're a little less likely to get it. But also it's gone down so much because we've been taking it seriously, and like you said, most people are social distancing and masked up. Where most businesses aren't open. And I think we're gonna see in the next few weeks what these other places look like. I don't think they're not gonna catch up raw numbers wise, but it looks like they're gonna be affected.
We'll see what happens. Definitely, I heard the expression "curving the curve," and when I saw some of those like parties from Hillhead, wasn't it? South Carolina,
like Missouri, all over the place, Georgia, Missouri. Texas, Houston, all that stuff.
It is. I have to wonder if this pandemic had happened under any other president, would wearing a mask and like being open or closed be such a hot button political topic?
Of course,
because like if you remember like 9/11, which is the most recent sort of crisis I can remember in our time, there was absolutely no partisanship at all.
Right.
When 9/11 happened, everybody, even like all the Democrats, jumped on board and supported George W. Bush starting a war with Afghanistan and Iraq because it was just like everybody's on the same team here.
And we fucked up with that, but it just shows you it's not all about partisanship with
not Bernie
with
though.
Us. It's like
Bernie didn't vote for it though.
That's true.
But yes, right. So because it's crazy how like wearing a face mask is a partisan issue. It's sad. But I have to think that it's because of the political climate that has been perpetual, because things were polarized before Donald Trump won.
Right.
But the way that he has sort of like enabled and propelled the like crazy neocons, and at the same time, like obviously completely provoked those on the left side. It's just like, you know, he will go down in history as the great divider. The amount of the further gulf that he drove through the country in just a few years is staggering.
Yeah, and
you got like people like outwardly, blatantly, you know, showing their racist colors in a way that I never saw before in my lifetime.
Yeah, and I you know, to me, he's going to go down. And I saw a list. There was a list made by professors, political science professors, of ranking the presidents. He's going to go down as the worst president of all time.
Right.
Even Republicans have him as one of the worst Republican presidents of all time. So no matter what they say, and you know, not only the mask situation, but we would be. I have no doubt we'd be in a better position in terms of, you know, less people would have died. You remember, he blatantly didn't take this,
of course,
seriously until the very last minute. He's still not. Like you just said, he's still not taking this seriously. With,
right.
You know, telling people not to wear. You know, basically acting as if people shouldn't wear masks. Advocating
against mask wearing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. You know, telling media members, "Can you take that down for me? I can't hear you."
Yeah, just to be a smartass.
Yeah, when you know you can hear them.
And the sad part of our country is the people who love him don't love him for anything he stands for. Right. They love him because he's a smartass.
Right, and
like that's valued. That you know.
Right, and a racist, which is valued
well,
too.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Speaking of that,
yes.
Let's talk. We got to talk about this Minneapolis situation. You know, George Floyd. Just another person, another black man killed. Just even when I see it now, I'm like, you know, I'm desensitized to it. It's like, word, another one. But this situation has blown up.
I think it's
unlike some others.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's because of the fact that he was already detained. See, in all these other instances, not that, and in no way, don't misjudge me to be on the wrong side of any of these. We all know where I stand on, you know, Eric Garner, from Eric Garner to Trayvon Martin and so forth. I'm on the side of the victims, but in almost every other instance, at least that's been on video, there is either a struggle or a chase. Or, you know, they're not justified, but there's some form of resistance that can be blamed for what happened. You know, in this instance, he was already cuffed and on the ground, and the slow, premeditated, and calm manner with which his life was just squeezed out of him is sort of next level from anything we've seen. I'm sure there are, obviously, not only are there, of course, countless that we don't even know about instances similar, but this was crazy. It's almost like a bad guy in a like a bad action movie,
right?
You know, like the way it was just done in such a sort of calm. I mean, this is a sick guy.
Yeah, like kind of a smirk on his face. Like,
I mean,
I'm going to keep my knee on him, even though I hear you guys telling me to get off him. Yeah. Like, but I'm doing this for y'all too, right? Kind of thing. You know.
Now, did you see the story about the woman who owns the club that they both worked as security at? Are you aware of this story?
No.
So there's a woman who owned a club in Minneapolis, in the area, and I guess the cop worked as a bouncer in the front, and and George worked in the inside.
Right.
So she's like, I don't know if they interacted or not. I guess there might have been
the cop who killed him?
Yes.
They worked in the same place?
Yes, as security.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Where'd you see that?
Where else? The internet. No, but it is actually a video of a local news story where they interviewed the woman. And she had a club. It went out of I don't know if she sold it or went out of business, but she owned the club. And a year ago, both the victim and the perpetrator worked for her. And when she talked about, what's his name? Chauvin, the cop, she was like, yeah, he did always have a temper. Go look on my Twitter timeline. I think I retweeted it. I did, actually, I'm sure. He always had a temper, like if anything like went sideways, he was like quick to like pull out the mace or like get physical. So like this is a guy with, like not a real guy. This is an animal hiding behind a badge. Well,
and he had
locked up years ago.
Right, and he had 18 complaints against him already. Remember, they're making a deal about Klobuchar not prosecuting him. Years ago when similar situation occurred, he didn't kill. I guess he didn't kill anybody, but something occurred.
But he has killed people.
And she refused to prosecute. So that's hopefully that's a strike against her becoming the VP. Not to make light of it, but
I feel like Warren is going to be Warren. I think I'm getting that vibe.
Originally that would have been my pick for Biden to go with Warren, just based on viewpoints and her strength versus his. But then everybody's talking about the optics, and then I was kind of like, okay, maybe you're right. Two old white people, even though one is a woman.
She's not that old though.
She's in her 70s. She's 70, over 70.
No, I think she's.
No, she's 70. She doesn't look 70, but she is.
Oh, but 70.
She has energy. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm just saying, when you put the facts up there, it's going to look bad. Like two old, over 70 people, blah, blah, blah. So then I was like, all right, maybe Harris, she has her own issues.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it doesn't,
the truth is during the whole primary process, by the end of it, Warren was the person that I felt would make the best president.
I agree.
Wasn't necessarily saying she was the best person to run, but I did feel like she had the most merit for the job of all of them.
Yeah, I would have picked Warren. I would have voted for Warren if everybody stayed in the primary.
Well, I would have voted for any of them.
Yeah.
Easy.
No, I mean in the primary.
Yeah,
I would have voted for Warren.
Oh, yeah.
Biden is what it is. This is what we're left with. But back to Minneapolis, and really, so we know what happened. But then last night.
So I do want to say one other thing about it. Okay. I think what's crazy to me is not just, of course, this systemic racism in this country that just doesn't seem to be improving, at least among law enforcement for sure. Aside from that, it's not just the racist part; it's the sort of police state element of it. Like, let's just put aside the race of the victim for a second. How is it okay that cops can kill anybody?
Yeah, no, it's not.
Where is that in that? Where did we put that in the Constitution? Where was it voted on? Where did we decide to give the cops power to kill people?
Right.
That's
it's not okay, and it's not okay for them to kill anybody else. Like, it's really just they get away with the killing of black people.
Cops shouldn't be killing people who are doing crazy violent things.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, that's the point. That's the point about being restrained. He was in handcuffs. There's nothing he could have done. Oh. So it doesn't even matter. They're trying to say, oh, what happened before? Maybe he struggled before. At that point, it wouldn't have mattered. He could have killed 30 people. If you have him handcuffed and face down on the ground, you don't kill him. You don't have the right to kill him, period. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. I don't want to hear he might have done this or that. There's no justification for it at that point. With Dylan Roof when he shot up the South Carolina church, they took him away, alive. You don't have a right to kill somebody no matter what they did. And then obviously he didn't do anything really. What did he do?
Yeah, he should have never even been
handcuffed.
Right, exactly. Much less lying down on the street, much less being just physically assaulted and murdered in cold blood.
So last night, protests the last few days in Minneapolis, and last night, they got it turned into some riot activity, breaking of looting and breaking windows at Target and all that kind of stuff. But then it took a turn that I haven't ever seen when they took it to a precinct and burned down a police precinct.
Do we know who burned down the precinct?
I mean, there's video of dudes doing it. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who they are. There's people talking about, they could be people coming in from out of state or whatever. But bottom line, it was interesting to me that happened.
Did you see the video? It was
wild to me that happened because people always say, why always burning down your own neighborhood? And I'm like, well, you can't say that now. They actually went to a damn precinct and burned it down.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that's a little bit crazy. Like, how did they burn down a police station? It was empty, empty.
It was empty.
Like there were only four of them in there?
I mean, I guess it's not Brooklyn or New York City. I guess, these dudes go home and leave the you know what I mean? Supposedly there was nobody in the building, in the precinct after 9 o'clock.
Well, did you see the video of the guy breaking the windows with a hammer?
I saw that.
So this is just some white guy who was just walking around just breaking stuff.
In fact, if you look into it deeper, I think some people, Twitter investigators, I guess, pretty much proved that showed that he might have been a cop.
Right.
So yeah, I mean I don't doubt that there are people in the mix just trying to, further escalate it. For whatever reason, trying to make people look bad.
Have you seen video from here in New York, from Union Square?
Today, yes. I'm looking at it right now, actually. There's some protests going on.
People are protesting and police are tackling them as if they're trying to hurt somebody.
That's crazy. I haven't seen that.
I'm telling you, man, we live in a police state.
And then you got the virus going on.
But I mean, this has been my whole life. My experience, my whole life is cops do whatever they want.
Right.
Period. And sure, some cops are not bad people.
Yeah. Some.
And so they don't do bad things.
Right.
But Chris Rock said, there are some jobs where you can't. He said, first of all, bad apple seems like a really complimentary term for a murderer,
right?
A killer, but
exactly. And there's too many.
Sometimes you can't have bad apples. You can't have bad apple pilots,
right? And it's not true because it's not a couple bad apples.
No,
it's the entire system. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about people. It's the entire setup, the system where you can't snitch on each other and all that kind of stuff. So. There's a bunch of bad apples. If you have no snitches in that situation, you don't have people telling the truth and turning people in, there's a lot of bad apples.
You think there's a chance this guy will be convicted?
Yeah, there's a chance. Do I expect it to happen? How could I?
I'm betting against.
If you go based on history, no, he's not likely to be convicted. It doesn't usually happen.
Because the DA does not want to convict a guy who works with the team that they have to do business with on a daily basis.
Let me tell you, there's another. We were just talking about shows on Netflix before we got on here, but there's another Netflix show, Trial by Media, which I started watching. I watched a couple episodes of. And there's a episode. Each episode they deal with a trial that took place that the media was infatuated with. So I went back and I watched the Bernard Goetz, and I watched the Louima trial, right?
You
got to check those out. So Bernard Goetz, we were young, but we remember that, right? Yeah. But it's crazy how much you don't remember, and we shouldn't probably because we were 10 or something like that. Maybe even we were around that age. But I remember it. But it's funny when I'm watching it, I didn't remember whether he was convicted or not.
Yes, he was.
He was not.
Oh, but
he got
went,
off.
But then he did it again and went to jail?
No, he might have lost a civil trial or something.
No, I thought he died in jail.
No.
Of AIDS.
No. Somebody else.
You just spoiled it for me.
Right. But no, like, so you forget at the time, you're like, oh, we remember what people went crazy about it, and you're watching it and you're like, the evidence is so overwhelming. You're thinking, what? Oh, he must have been convicted. Like, and then no, he wasn't convicted. So you're like, what the, like, this has been going on forever. I mean, they had so much evidence against Bernie Getz. He confessed. He told his whole story in his own words. He basically said, these dudes didn't really mess with me, but I had been traumatized from the past, and I thought that they would basically look like thugs, so I shot them. That's basically what he said in his own words, and he got off. So it just reminds you, like, this has been happening. This happens over and over and over and over again. How could you expect anybody to get convicted in this, in this country under this system?
And that's a citizen. That's a private citizen.
Right. That's when I watched that, I was thinking about the Georgia situation. You know what I'm saying? Which when I saw the Georgia situation with the two citizens who killed him, for some reason that hit me so hard.
Because it was a hunt.
Yeah, I was just like, wow.
No, they literally hunted him. That's why they arrested the guy who shot it, because the guy who shot it, like, cut him off. So he was trapped.
Yeah. So I mean, it just shows you go back and look at it. And of course, Abner Louima, 41 shots
6 years ago. And
they got off.
And that was just like who was the guy? Was it his bachelor party? Sean Price.
There's so many.
I think it was Sean Price. Does that sound right, or is that
That's the rapper.
That's a rapper.
that's a rapper.
Yeah, it was the guy in Queens he was like his bachelor party, and they got shot up.
Yeah, I remember that
a few years ago.
And then remember just the guy. There was a guy Philando in Minnesota. He got shot in the car by the cop, and the cop didn't get convicted.
And the Georgia situation really reminds me of Trayvon.
Right, that does. And of course, he got off. So I mean, why would you expect? There's no reason to expect the person to be convicted. If that happens, that's out of the ordinary. You know? So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
But they don't usually get like fired and arrested quickly.
Yeah, that's happened. Well, not. I mean, quickly. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, it happened more quickly than usual.
I mean, I can't even remember.
But he should have been arrested right away.
When they got fired, I was like, oh, I can't remember that. That's a good sign, because I don't remember. Usually, I feel like the guys who killed Eric Garner are still on the force. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, they're not on the force, but it took about 5 years.
Okay, but none of them were convicted of.
And they just were let go on the. I don't even think.
Right.
I still think they get their pensions or something.
Right. First I got surprised when they got fired.
Right.
And then I got surprised when not surprised because the outcry has been crazy. But when he got arrested, I'm like, but they still haven't arrested the other three, right?
No, which is crazy. They were just standing there like,
I bet you they're not gonna arrest them.
There's something I saw that's been on the internet too. There's a video.
But you know what it looks like?
Hold on. There's a rap video, right? I don't know if you've seen this, where this guy is like, he does a video, and there's somebody's on his neck, and he's rhyming about basically saying, "You people, why didn't you save me? Save me! You're sitting there videotaping it. Why didn't you rush the cop? Like, what do you think about that?" Because
the other three, first of all, I have to say that I couldn't. I never watch any of these videos all the way through. It's too.
Yeah, I didn't watch. I still haven't watched it all the way through.
Very disturbing.
Right.
But from what I saw, I think I only saw one of the cops. It looked like they were watching his back while he killed him. They looked to be standing guard. Right. It looked as if he was like, yo, watch out. I got to do this really quickly. Just make sure nobody's coming. Because they were standing with like their back. The one I saw, it looked like she was like, I can't remember if it was a he or she, was standing with their back to him, like sort of like standing guard. There was no concern about what he was doing at all.
Right.
They were like more concerned with the people videotaping. Like, it's so absurd. Give me one instance ever where like a bunch of like random people on the sidewalk just bum rushed cops and attacked cops. Like they act as if they're
shot. He wants to get shot.
No, but my point is that the cops behave as if there's some sort of threat. Like, did they have to like watch the people on the sidewalk videotaping? Like they're a threat to them. Well, they are a threat.
Occasionally, it happens with. It happened in New York a little while. It happened in New York. A few weeks ago. You saw that video where like they arrested some dude on the ground, and then some dude stepped to the cop, and the cop like swings on them. But no, I hear you.
It never ends well for the guy stepping to the cop.
But what about here's one of the biggest things we've already talked about how terrible Trump is. But I mean, it's the thing he tweeted late last night about when
looting, shooting.
Yeah, when the looters, what is it? When the looting starts, the shooting starts, and that is a direct reference to Miami Police Chief Walter Headley in 1967 during the riots in Miami.
Why did I also see that credited to George Wallace? That's just out there?
Yeah, I think you're just picking. I think people are just picking a horrible racist.
Right.
And I said Bull Connor like that. Like I called him President Bull Connor.
Right.
He's just. But that's the same type of dudes. All those dudes were the same type of guys. Just blatant
like mixing up John Sally and Orlando Woolridge.
True.
They were on the same team.
Look-alike kind of
similar
games. Not really, but yeah. So, but for him to say that, first of all, I mean, it's just even for Trump, that was crazy to me. Like that was like, yo, this dude is. I mean, he's completely gone. I mean, completely gone.
Yes.
And then we know he's not that smart. We know Trump is not a history buff, right? So someone.
I promise you, Stephen Miller fed that to him.
Or was it? It could have been Bill Barr. It could have been anybody.
Nah, that smells like.
I mean, Bill Barr is terrible.
But I don't think Bill Barr, because the only people like I don't think Bill Barr would sit there and like get enjoyment out of like quoting some old racist shit. I'm not saying Bill Barr isn't racist or a stooge. He is.
Right.
But Stephen Miller, I think the way his brain works is that he finds that so amusing to quote some old racist.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, it's more of a Miller move because Barr wouldn't want to expose himself like that. He wouldn't want to make it that obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to make it that obvious that I'm a racist.
Stephen Miller enjoys thumbing civilization.
So I mean that to me, that like for someone like me who attacks Trump and wants to just expose him to other people as the little piece of shit he is, saying something like that just gives me more fire. Like you can't go any lower than that.
Well, I mean, he's just perpetuating and playing to the worst instincts in the worst people.
Yes, he already has.
That's all he has. Those people. That's what he's been doing for like 5 years because he was.
So is this going to work for him in November? Is he going to win?
God, I hope not. Who knows? I don't feel confident that he won't, but I sure hope not.
Biden is Biden?
I don't know. I'm equally scared of him winning as I am of him cheating and winning, as I am of him like doing something like delay the election or something.
He's going to cheat. I mean, how else would he act?
Right.
Like, he's going to cheat. I mean, he's going to pull out.
Well, he will cheat. But while he cheats, it's all,
Will it work? That's the key. I am. Well, I mean, he lost the first election. The popular vote. There's no way he wins the popular vote next time.
I hope not.
Can he win the electoral vote without cheating? I don't.
Well, I mean,
I really don't think so.
Biden got those swing states, like Pennsylvania.
Let's quickly on Biden, and he's not my guy. I am scared that he is the guy that we have to depend on. He's not
The worst part to me is
he's lost a couple steps, even from when he was an average politician in terms of, you know, on a presidential stage. He's not, you know, he's not even average. He's always been below average. He's run a few times, never came close.
Career loser.
Well, he did fine in his Senate races.
Career also ran though in the presidential.
Right, exactly. So he's not my guy, but I am coming to the belief that, you know,
he might be the right guy for right now.
I don't know about the right guy, but it might be enough because people do seem to like him. You know, they let him get away. Like no matter what he says, people just seem to, for some reason, you know, and I'm talking about white people, seem to like him. You know, even if you're even the Midwestern, you know, middle of the country people, they seem to like him, no matter what he says.
Yeah, I mean, he's all right. I mean,
I'm not talking about you being a New Yorker. I'm talking about people, like, because remember, there are people who voted for. There are a lot of white people in the middle of the country who voted for Obama and then voted for Trump. Can he get those?
For sure. Not anybody who voted for Obama is not voting for Trump again.
Right.
You know, I mean that was the point I think in going. I mean, Biden has been losing presidential primaries my whole life. I think of him almost as a career loser. I mean, the only victory he ever had was when Obama let him jump in the back seat of his ride. But I do think that there's something to be. I feel like around the time that he everybody else dropped out and conceded, and he right before the pandemic started. Bernie still stuck around for a while, but that was crazy how all in like one day, Klobuchar, Pete, Elizabeth, they all stepped down and supported him. And I think the reason they did, and the reason I sort of was like, all right, I think this is the right move, is he is the right guy to beat Trump, because he will get anybody who voted for Trump and is even just a little bit reasonable is will be okay. Will be okay voting for Biden,
even though he is a little sleepy.
Well, but so what? Like Trump is sharp.
No,
he told people that they should inject bleach.
Right, and to me that's that's
as much of a senior moment as anything Biden has done.
Right, and that has to be the message, because we know basically the whole Trump's whole strategy and talking points are going to be, you know, Sleepy Joe, and he's not even fit to be president. You have to push back right away and say, you're not fit, bro. Are you kidding me? Like, do you hear what this dude is talking about half the time? Do you see what he slurs his words too? You know what I'm saying? He talks straight out of his ass. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I know. I mean, you know this TikTok trend people have of like playing his comments and lip syncing as if they're drunk in the club.
Right.
Because he sounds like a drunk person.
Right.
Like, you heard about Sweden, right? They, it's great things. Tremendous.
I mean, yeah, like you said, injecting fucking Lysol.
I would look into that. People are saying anyway.
And I saw something, the way he stands, he's like tilted forward. Like, what the? Someone sent me a meme the other day saying that was like that's like some pre-dementia thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll throw it out there.
Wouldn't surprise me. All right, so what else? Are we going to talk about any media stuff?
Let's talk about
sports or media.
Let's talk about sports. I mean, there've been no real games. So one of the big things, obviously, I haven't even talked to you about this.
The NBA's been out.
The Last Dance. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the entertainment we had was the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. I just want to ask you, on a pure entertainment level, you're a producer. You produce TV shows, all that stuff. So, from your perspective, on a pure entertainment television level, what was your take on the documentary?
It was great. It was top notch. I would rank it up there with, OJ Made in America. What is another? I'm trying to think. I can't think of other series sports docs like that. Most of them are one and done.
It wasn't too long,
but it was not at all. I mean, really, there was a lot left out.
Like what?
I mean, there really wasn't anything about Jordan's personal life other than his dad.
Well, that was one of the issues people had, because he had total control of this. It wasn't a true biography.
But he's so reclusive and he's so ethereal. He's so not human, that just what they did give you was fascinating. It was just fascinating, like hearing these stories. Excuse the New York soundscape. And like, I'd watch I saw a lot of people mention this, and I agree that I would watch a whole show of just him watching video of other people talking about him and reacting to it.
I thought that was, his reactions, like looking at the laptop, it was all right. I think. But
he obviously lied about the Isaiah Thomas thing, I guess, right?
Maybe.
Or he was.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's credible that he was like, I'm not playing if Isaiah did, and I also think that's blown out of proportion too. On the people like mad about that or Isaiah. I mean, come on, Isaiah. We all know that you were a great player. We all know you deserve to be on that team. It's not a stain. I don't think it's a stain on his resume. He's a Hall of Famer. Yes, should he have been there? Was he in his prime at that time? No. Was he missed on that team? Probably not.
But who would he?
But everybody knows he was on the level.
Who should he have been on instead of?
I mean, he's better than. I mean, his career-wise, he was better than a lot of those dudes. The only people he was not better than. Jordan, Magic, Bird.
But that team was not constructed just like the way they do it now, where
it was though
swing and everything. It was. No, it was. I feel like it was like
who else was left off?
2 point guards. There were 2 shooting guards. There was 2 at every position.
I don't know about that. I think, he's better than Drexler, career-wise.
Yeah, but that's my point. Drexler is like a 3, a 2, or a 3.
They had wings. They had wings galore.
The point guards were Magic and Stockton.
You can't have 3 point guards.
I mean, it's just not the way that team.
And Isaiah is a combo. He was a scorer.
Yeah, back then it was much. I feel like it was much more like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, I think no. I mean,
and there are 2 of each.
If Isaiah wasn't a dick when he played, and if he wasn't a complete dick to Jordan, he would have been on the team. I don't think it had anything to do with like the formulation of the team.
I guess,
but but also like it is what it is. Like that is life. You know what I'm saying? You were a dick to the wrong guy. Okay? Like that's what happens. Like you messed with the wrong dude. You messed with the most powerful dude on the squad. And that's just, hey, what can I say?
He didn't just mess with him too. He messed with Larry too, remember?
But Larry, I don't think Larry was.
Larry didn't care, but I'm just saying like Isaiah.
And did he mess with Larry? Did he mess with Larry? He told the truth. He said, "Well, if
Larry he was really." I think the real story is he was really backing up, or at least I've heard it told that he was backing up Rodman.
Right, he's backing up. Right, so makes it even less of a story. He said Larry Bird. I don't even know if he said that. Larry Bird is just another guy. I think he said Larry Bird wouldn't have been as popular as he was, and that's probably true.
But that's some. That is no. But he said he'd be just another guy.
Did he say that? I think they attributed that to him. That might have been one of those, like those media.
I think he might have said he'd be just another all-star,
another great player.
Another great,
you know what I'm saying?
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, Bird is in my top 5 all time, so it's not like I'm trying to diss Bird, but I'm just saying, really. And it wasn't the quote like right after they got beat in the playoffs.
Bird is not in my top 5 all time.
He's in my top 5. Bird was.
Who was your top 5?
My top 5 is Jordan, Kareem, Magic, Bird, LeBron, and not in that order, but those are my 5.
I don't think I have room.
In fact, let me be honest with you. And I would, if you ask me who I would take in their prime, you know what I'm saying? Like their prime years when they were 100%, not no injuries before they fell off, whatever. At their prime of their careers, I think I might take Bird over LeBron.
I have a different list than you. I have MJ, LeBron, Kareem, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain.
I mean, I'm not, I can't argue with that.
I mean, not that I watched them, but from what I've read and, my personal value on winning and statistics and like.
Well, Bird has more rings. He has more rings than Wilt by far.
Yeah, but Wilt's individual numbers are insane.
Yeah, but he came up short a few times, like in big moments.
Didn't he average 25 rebounds for a season?
He did.
I mean, come on, man.
He did.
That's not good enough to get you in the top 5. He led the league in assists.
Did he change? Did he change the league like Bird did with Magic?
Yeah, I think he probably did.
People were like, well, did people rush to see him? The NBA popularity didn't take off because of Wilt.
Bird and Magic are in my 6 to 10.
Oh, you're crazy. Those dudes were sick.
I know, of course. They're my top 10 players of all time. I'm not disrespect that. I think Bill Russell, the greatest winner ever, and Wilt Chamberlain.
It's not like he didn't have great teams.
The crazy thing is, they always say this thing about Shaq that's always thrown out. He's the most dominant player. No, Wilt Chamberlain was the most dominant.
Yeah,
there's no comparison. The guy scored 100 points in a game.
That's true.
And everyone was trying to stop him.
That's true.
When Kobe scored 81, everybody wasn't trying to stop him. They weren't throwing him to the ground. You know what I mean? That's what they were doing to Wilt.
Right. And Kobe was trying to get that. He was trying hard to get that 81. He was trying to get 100.
Hell yeah. So anyway, that's my 5.
But so LeBron's still your greatest of all time?
He's in the you got to, because of his, listen, the interesting thing about my top 5 is they all sort of are a different, they're in for a different reason. LeBron is in for the consistency.
Longevity.
Longevity.
Dominated for how many years?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. All those finals in a row.
Right.
It's kind of undeniable.
But he's not better than Jordan, right?
No, he's not close to Jordan.
I agree.
He's not close. I mean, and I think last
and that's not a diss, obviously.
No, it's not it's a diss to people who say he's the GOAT. I diss them because
and most people didn't even see Jordan. Most of the people who say that
I feel bad for them because they don't know what it's like to see a truly transcendent winner.
Right.
A la like Jordan or Gretzky or Bill Russell.
Remember how great he was, how great Jordan was before he even won rings.
Oh yeah.
First of all, I hated on Jordan. I was a Jordan fan up until he won. And then I started to hate him.
Do you
I wanted him to get beat.
Do you ever play as Jordan in
2K? Yeah, of course.
I never do.
Yeah, I don't hate him anymore.
I don't hate him, but I don't want to be Jordan because I grew as a Knicks fan. He's just not on our he always beat us, but I enjoyed.
I've been over that. Like, trust me, I hated Jordan just as much as you did then at that point.
But I don't own.
But as soon as that shit is over, I had to give him his 100%. And the same thing with Bird. I hated Bird when he played. Hated him. Always rooted for Magic to kill Bird. I was like, I used to diss Bird. As soon as Bird retired, I was like, yo, that motherfucker was no joke.
Yes, he was great. So I heard you told me before you started rewatching The Wire.
Yeah.
How far along are you?
Not far. I mean, first, I've watched it 3 times, 2 or 3 times all the way through, at least three, most of the way through.
I'm sure.
So I started again. I'm probably only at the 4th or 5th episode of the first season. Yeah,
you need to just take a bunch of them at a time. You can't just try to do the once a week thing because you got to get hooked. Because I'm actually rewatching. I don't know myself. I'm guesstimating it's the 4th full rewatch. Mm-hmm. Could be more. And I'm not halfway through. I just finished, I think, episode 4 or 5. I think I'm up to episode 6 now of season 5. I guess that is halfway through. And it's been great.
Oh,
Damn, it's great. Season 5 is good too. The funny thing is,
that's the last season.
Yeah, the funny thing is that because of the way I remember you turned me onto The Wire during season 1, and I think it was like the episode maybe where Kima gets shot. I definitely remember Wallace is like off in the country because I remember like asking like, who's this kid? What's happening here? And then of course I went back and watched the full first season, and then from there, every time a new season came, you went back and rewatched the beginning.
Right. So
there's like a disproportionate amount of times we viewed the early seasons versus
right.
later.
That's why I'm confused at how many times I've actually.
So I don't like. I barely remember the stuff in the later seasons. But I can tell you, as soon as I started season 5 again, I was like, oh, you know why this season is good? Because of Gus, the editor, the hero, the editor at the paper, who knows the guy is plagiarizing but is powerless to stop him. He's great. That's a great Wire character.
Right, and there were no bad seasons of The Wire. Like,
no.
That's why.
You finally admit season 2 is good?
I never did season 2. I was never one of those people. I always liked Steve. I liked, what's his name? The dude, the crazy white boy.
Oh, Ziggy?
Yeah, I mean, as a character, you know what I'm saying?
He's a great character. He's different. Like Bubbles, he's uncomfortable to watch because it's uncomfortable to watch somebody like be their own worst enemy. But
yeah, no, I like, and people act like that was a great storyline also. And people act like they didn't, they still weren't talking about Avon and all that. They were still going back and forth, talking about both sides of the deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They pull it all together too.
After watching it again, I also am much more of a fan. I definitely, Avon is probably my favorite character.
Really?
And Wood Harris is one of the best. His performance of Avon is so great. I was listening to the Jamel Hill Van Lathan podcast. Shout to them for doing a Wire podcast.
How is that?
Grantland. It's pretty good. I mean, overall, I like both of them. They have good opinions. I don't agree with everything. But wait, take me back. What were we just talking about?
Van Lathan.
No, but why did I bring this up?
Avon.
Right. So they were talking about the episode where Wallace gets killed and giving props to Larry Gillum Jr., I think is how you say his name, the guy who plays D'Angelo, on his performance when he finds out that Wallace was killed because it's all expressions. I don't like that actor. I think he doesn't seem believable. He's it's like there's him and Wood Harris are the exact opposites as far as like, I forget I'm watching. When I watch Wood Harris's Avon, it's totally Avon. I forget who Wood Harris even is. It's like he's so in the role. It's so believable. Whereas the actor who plays D'Angelo, I'm like, there he goes again acting. Like I see the acting is telegraphed.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure what it was. I know I never liked him as a character, but was he supposed to be a weak character?
Yeah, but I'm saying like I don't like the performance. But those guys were loving the performance, so maybe it's me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't. It could have been performance.
Some people like on that. That's the one thing about The Wire. I know they hired a lot of people. I think that maybe didn't have a deep acting background, and some people deliver lines that are a little, like Burrell. I don't think he's a good actor, or I don't think he looks like he's reading lines to me.
Yeah, I remember he was decent. He was good.
He's okay. I don't know. Something about it.
I thought he was good.
And McNulty, and Parchetti, yeah, but the accents are funny. But then you have
the dude's English for real though.
But then you have people like Wee-Bey, who is like note perfect. Like the performance is just flawless.
I always think about him.
He hits every note perfectly. To me, it's a difference between sounding like someone reading lines versus somebody just like being the character. And that guy,
he's a legend forever in real life because of that performance.
All right, man. So listen, why don't you start watching again actively?
Right, I will.
And then
I'm watching. I only started like a week or so ago.
So watch one tonight, and then we can do another one of these over the weekend. We could just do like little 15-minute talk about each episode. You tell me that episode, I'll because I just went through it all.
All right. Before we get out of here, though, I want to the last topic, sports returning.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on that? You think it's safe? You think it's the right thing to do? We'll talk about professional sports first.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Look, they're going to do it without fans or with like limited fans, and I can't speak for every sport. I trust the NBA to be careful. I believe in Adam Silver is going to be responsible. And
is it even possible?
Well, we're going to see. They're going to try it out. I mean, I'm definitely not for rushing anything back or reopening anything prematurely. But people they're reopening or the businesses that have stayed open have adjusted to a COVID compliant world, and especially in a big high budget sport, a multi-billion-dollar industry, they're going to have all kinds of doctors and tests ready to go. And I'm sure that they can, shut it down the minute someone's got like half a degree higher in a fever. I'm not worried about the sports. It's everything. It's all the rednecks running out and partying.
Well, that's part of sports. That's part of sport, especially football fans. And just in terms of whether these guys should come back, whether the sports are really ready, the fans are the one that put pressure on these guys. Look at baseball. What about baseball? What about baseball right now?
No, baseball's a wrap.
How's it a wrap?
It's true because I don't think nothing should be coming. No, I don't think anything should start before July. Well, I guess maybe baseball could, but the players' union is
right. That's the point. Like you got fans gonna put pressure on the players to play like as if the owners can't take the loss, but the players are supposed to take the loss.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, sports coming back or not, I would love it, but I'm more concerned with the country being safe, people being safe.
That's not going to happen. Interesting thing. I've been
I haven't brought I live 10 miles from my mom, and I have not brought my kids to see her.
But that's like I said,
or gotten a haircut.
But that's like New York. In New York, we're taking it more seriously than most. That's why I said I feel safer in New York. You can look around the rest of the country; people aren't doing that. I just talked to Kurt Streeter for the a sports reporter for the Times. He lives in Seattle, and he said that only like 10% of people are wearing masks out there. Where he lives.
That's where it started.
Exactly, and then people are hanging out like nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing ever happened. And you could tell that's going on around the country. One of the things I got into is I've been reading up on the Spanish flu and how things, in 1918 and how people were reacting then. And it's crazy, even though the Spanish flu was much more contagious and more deadly. But, it was the same thing. Like the government was trying to downplay it. People were in denial, acting like it was like just a regular flu. So you see all these same things. And what happened? Wave after wave, people got hit because they weren't doing the right thing. And I see the same kind of thing happening here.
Oh, yes.
And there's a sports story and the reason Kurt Streeter, we had him on Bros Pod today. Reason we had him on because he wrote a story about hockey in 1919. The Stanley Cup was actually cut short. Like it's the only Stanley Cup that didn't finish, right? Because it was in 1919 and they brought the sports back, and by game 6, guys started to get sick again, right? Because it was like the third wave. guy started to get sick again, and one of the star players for Montreal Canadiens died, of the Spanish flu. So, like this shit is not like we've been here before. Like all these people in other states talking about it's a hoax. All these redneck MAGA people talking about it's a hoax. This shit has happened before.
Yeah, and there are celebrities, like famous people, have gotten sick and died.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's
real. I mean, but you have your a lot of people out here and Trump fans, these flames, acting like, oh well, the numbers are skewed. Oh, yeah, they're saying people are dying of it, but doctors are just saying people are dying of other things, and they're just saying it's COVID.
Sometimes I for real think we're headed towards a civil war.
I agree.
All right, man. This is good.
All right, man. We will. We'll be back. We got to keep this up. We got to do it more often. We'll even bring in some guests in the future.
All right.
All right, man.
Peace.
Till next time.
Queens in the house.